Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell and welcome to Unit 3, Area of Study 2, which looks at the internal environment. If you think back to Area of Study 1, we looked at the different business environments and we had the internal and external environments. And this outcome, or this area of study, looks at the internal environment more in depth. So that's what we're looking at specifically. We're going to break this first topic up into 3 different videos because it is really large. I did it in one video and it was nearly 20 minutes long. So we're just going to break it up into different sections. Now, this is a topic that, so we're looking at management structures, and this is a topic that students in the past have really struggled with. That's why I want to spend some more time on this area to ensure that you understand what management structures are. So first of all, a management structure is the way in which the organisation is formally arranged to achieve its objectives. What it does, it outlines the way an organisation is organised in terms of its management hierarchy. So I've got an example here, just so hopefully you understand what a structure is. So this is a particular council. So you can see there you've got the council up the top. If I get my mouse here, the council up the top, which is the councillors, they're the ones that make the decisions. Then there's the chief executive officer who carries out, whose job is to ensure that the decisions that have been made by council are carried out. Then underneath here, we've got all these different general managers. Okay, so we've got a general manager for assets and services. Now they are responsible for, and there'll be people underneath them, all right, that they're responsible for in assets and development, engineering services, operations, major projects, those type of things. Then let's have a look at general manager for corporate services. They're in charge of all IT, finance, rates and evaluation. So when you own a house, you have to pay rates to the council, any corporate information, local laws, etc. So there'll be lots of people underneath that reports to that general manager. So you can see how the different type of work is divided up into different, what we could call departments. And so there's 6 key departments in this council, and obviously there'll be lots of different employees that work under each of these different departments, but these managers at the top all report directly to the chief executive officer. So that's what a management structure is in terms of how an organisation's activities and roles are formally arranged, and that helps them achieve the objectives that they've set out. Now, why have a structure? What it can do is it shows the lines of communication. If I go back to the chart above, these here are lines of communication. Now this chart, if we were to fill out every employee's role in this organisation, it would be enormous. So, and we don't need to do that in this part of the course or in any part of this course, but what we need to know is just we're looking at how labour and jobs and activities are divided up, and these are clear lines of communication. So for example, this manager here, the manager for community and wellbeing, who do they report to? Directly to the chief executive officer. All right, that line there is a direct line of communication. They can also communicate, and they're probably often in meetings with these other managers. Okay, so that's what that means. It shows the possibility of a career path. So if you are in, again, I'll go back. If you are in this section, all right, on local laws, you're in this area, you could, and you move into an organisation at a lower level, you'd be able to move up the chain, up the hierarchy. It gives you a clear career path. Also, it shows how jobs and activities are arranged, and that's what we mean there. In that previous one, you could see how the activities were grouped together into similar areas, into 6 different departments. And then also they show who was responsible for who and who was responsible to who. So you could see, if you're in a management role, you could see, all right, these are the people that are underneath me that I'm responsible for, and they need to report to me, but then who do I report to? Who am I responsible to? And that's what an organisational chart or organisational structure can show. Here's a typical management hierarchy where the authority is given to the higher levels. So we've got different levels of management here. Don't worry too much about the levels of planning on the side there. We'll get into that later on. But really, it's just most organisations that not all operate like this, but what we're trying to do, all I'm showing here is just the different levels of management. We have senior management, middle management, lower management, and underneath that the workers. Now, the more levels there are, the more difficult communication can be. So and we'll get into this later on, but organisations are trying to flatten out their structures so that communication and it increases flexibility in communication. But that's a simple management hierarchy. You may come across the terms centralised and decentralised in terms of management structures. It means something later on in Unit 4, but in terms of management structures, what we're looking at here, so organisations and the people within them need to make decisions. And centralised and decentralised is looking at, well, where are the decisions made? So we can have centralised decision making, which means that all the decisions are made at the top, so towards senior management, or in the senior management positions. And then those decisions, the communication then flows throughout the organisation, but the decisions stay at the top. In other organisations, the decisions will be decentralised, which means that the employees are involved in decisions. So again, on that chart, I've got arrows flowing up and down so that decision making is involved at all levels of the organisation. And that's what decentralised decision making means. Now we'll get into the different types of structures, and this is where we'll split it up. We'll do one at a time, one video for each one. And so this video will look at a functional structure. And this is where work is divided into similar tasks based on function. And it's often good for more stable environments, or for when an organisation only sells a small range of products and isn't looking to change things dramatically in the future. So you can see there we've got the board of directors at the top, and you could probably put a general manager or a CEO underneath that. And then if you have a look at those in blue, we've got a research and development manager, a production manager, or another management function would be operations, a marketing manager, human resource manager, information technology, and finance and admin. And underneath that, there are all different roles. And remember, we're talking about large organisations here, so there's at least 200 people that have to fit in that. But you can see how the labour is divided up into management functions. So we have a marketing department, an IT department, a HR department, etc., etc. And that's what a functional structure is. The advantages of that is that there is efficient use of resources. Now that will make sense when we get into some of the other structures, because that's one of the weaknesses of them. But it really is an efficient type structure. Employees are specialists in their area, and they are grouped with people of similar knowledge and skill set. So what that means, if I go back, let's look at marketing. These people in here would be specialists in marketing, and also this manager would be a specialist in marketing, because that's all they have to deal with. They don't have to deal with the other functions too much. They just have to focus on this marketing department. So they're what we call specialists. Now that allows them to speak the same language. They sort of know what each other's on about, because they've probably had similar academic backgrounds, gone to university or similar kind of experience. Disadvantage is that there can be conflict between the functions. Often there might be conflict, say the marketing department, they think they're the most important because they're the one that sell the goods or services. But they're saying, well, we've only got $1 million to spend on this ad campaign. Why won't the finance department give us a larger budget when they're giving human resources a larger budget? That's not fair, right? So it can cause some conflict between the functions. There's lack of horizontal communication because, again, I'm sort of looking at marketing here, but this could be for any of the functions or any of the departments. Let's say the marketing department, they're just focused on their marketing. They're not worried about too much about the other functions. So they're just dealing with their own people. So there's lack of horizontal communication, and that can cause them to lose sight of the organisation's best interest. They're more focused on their own objectives rather than the overall organisation objectives. So for activities, questions and more on this topic, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.